For the first time ever, I was seeing my pet monkey Pablo. I always dreamt of having a pet monkey, but I never thought it'd actually happen. But first, I had to gain his trust. He kept sitting across the room and playing with his reflection in the mirror, but I could tell all that he wanted was to curl up somewhere and go to sleep. The more I gained his trust, the more he would interact with us, and eventually he grew enough confidence to come over and let us hold him. Watch how I gained Pablo's full trust and confidence before going on to raise him into the cheeky little monkey he is today. Like most people, I always dreamt of having a pet monkey, but like most people, I never actually believed I'd have one in my lifetime. And that's why I'll never forget this day, the very first time I laid eyes on my pet monkey Pablo. I could clearly see there was a little monkey running around the house, but at the same time, it just didn't feel real. I just could not believe that I had my own baby monkey to raise. Before I came to Bangladesh, I had all these ideas on how I was going to train him, but now that he was here in front of us, I didn't know what to do, so I just gave him a banana instead. I couldn't take my eyes off him. I was watching his every little move, and this is when I first realised he'll only eat bananas if he can peel them for himself. I had only arrived to the village for the first time that night, and as tired as I was, the excitement of having a baby monkey kept us up. Poor little things just nearly fell off the bed. Because he wasn't really used to being around us, I didn't want to do anything to startle him straight away, so I didn't make any rapid movements towards him. Instead, I waited hoping he would come to me in his own time, but he stayed across the room and wouldn't stay in one place too long, which suggested to me there was still a bit more confidence and trust to gain before he would settle and go to sleep. And just when I kept thinking he would come over and play, he bounced across the room and would hang out near the wardrobe or play with his own reflection in the mirror. It was cute watching him by the mirror though, because he kept trying to grab his own hand in the reflection, but after a while I felt sorry for him, wondering if he was missing other monkeys or if he thought his reflection was another monkey. I could see he was getting tired and wanted to go to sleep, but he obviously didn't feel content doing so because I was still a stranger to him. So I let him just jump around the room until he was confident enough to come over to us on his own. Eventually, he came over and checked out the little bed that I'd brought for him from UK. I couldn't tell if he wanted to get inside and go to sleep or if he was just having fun playing with a white fluffy ball. Now, one thing about baby monkeys like Pablo, especially when they're not around their parents, is they require a lot of comfort and warmth. This is to replicate the sense of security that they would get from their parents. And again, he kept coming over to play with a white fluffy ball on his bed. I'm not sure if this was a sign that he wanted to go to sleep, but I stayed patient and waited to see if he eventually would nod off. After playing with a white ball for a bit, he was clearly getting very tired as he kept curling up at the foot of my bed and nodding off against the blanket. I was curious to see what he would do next because he was obviously too tired to play. He clearly wanted to go to sleep, but he definitely didn't feel safe enough being around us, so I was intrigued to see what he would do. He did nod off a few times, but he kept waking up, so I moved his bed closer to me in the hopes that he would come over and fall asleep. As more time passed, I could tell he was getting restless and even more tired, and there wasn't really much I could do for him. I really wanted him to fall asleep, but this was something that he had to decide on his own, and being a baby monkey clearly was going to be wary. A short while later, I think he realised that I meant him no harm because he kept nodding off for longer periods at a time. And at long last, he grew enough confidence to come over and check us out. He came over curiously, but he kept his distance because he wanted to see if I was going to change my behaviour. Now that I had developed more trust with him and he was feeling more confident, you could see he was being more cheeky when he was running around the room. Here he is pulling down the flower pot. At this point, he definitely knew that I wasn't a threat to him, and he was being really playful. He kept coming over, touching my hand, and eventually he would let us start stroking his fur, which he found really comforting and still does to this very day. For a while he just sat there and let us stroke his hand. I think he enjoyed it, but the more I did, the more comfortable he would get, and he would keep falling asleep while sitting upright. One thing I could say for sure now though, he definitely felt safe sitting around us. I wanted him to be fully comfortable though. I mean, don't get us wrong, he did seem happy enough just sitting there letting us stroke his arms and legs. In all fairness though, considering that this was the first night I had met him and I'd only spent a few hours with him, I seemed to be doing pretty well and had bonded with him fairly quick. I was considerate though how vulnerable he must be feeling, being so tired and wanting to go to sleep, but being locked in a room with a stranger whose trust he was gradually gaining, but I did everything I can to keep him relaxed because I hoped that he would eventually fall asleep. It was so cute the way he just kept nodding off sitting up, but after a while he kept waking up and nearly falling back every time, so I just wanted him to get really comfortable and go to sleep properly without having to wake up and worrying about what's around him or who's around him. I don't know if it was just because he was tired or whether he was genuinely starting to trust us, but he seemed a lot more relaxed than I could tell by his body language, because he was lying on his back and being a lot more playful and staying next to us more in general. And this is the moment I gained his trust. At first I think he was nervous, wondering if he would regret coming over to us, but then he seemed more interested in looking at himself in my phone. Now that he was actually sitting with us, I wanted him to stay there and feel comfortable enough to fall asleep properly. So when he wandered away, I just grabbed his hand and he came over no problem, sat on my chest for a bit and let us stroke his head. The confidence and trust grew more and more, as eventually he felt safe enough to just lie down on my chest and then shut his eyes whilst I stroked his head and back, which he found very comforting, and he did eventually nod off and go to sleep for a very long time. Just look at him, man. How cute is he though? Words in this video can't describe how amazing it felt when I eventually bonded with him and he fell asleep on my chest. I wasn't allowed to have pets growing up, not even a goldfish. As much as I loved animals, I was never allowed to have one. So to be sitting here now with a pet baby monkey who I've comforted enough to fall asleep is just the most amazing feeling in the world. I honestly can't describe it. After a year of raising Pablo, there's not a person in this world who he trusts more than me, and for that experience, I will be forever grateful to God. I don't know how many years I'll be in this world for, but I can promise you one thing, meeting Pablo was one of the best things to happen in my life.